think we've teased them enough. What are your hot read plays for next week in week 11?
Yeah, first hot read, we are doubling down on what was our look ahead. Give me the Panthers at the Falcons, +3.5. I think there is one stray +4 out there if you can grab it. And I'm going to play the money line as well, +175 for a Carolina outright win. This is now 4 straight weeks I'm playing a money line in a Panthers game. It's a weird obsession, Evan. What's happening with me? But look, we had Sunday mapped out to perfection. We had the Colts over the Falcons. Colts ran all over them just as expected. And then we had Carolina struggling and losing to the Saints. And that is what happened. Carolina is better scripted as an underdog than as the favorite. What do they want to do? Run the ball, stop the run, shorten the game. You don't want to do that when you're the favorite, but it works great against the Packers in that game. And it worked great against Atlanta. The Panthers beat Atlanta 30-0 this season, like 2 months ago. And now they're more than a field goal underdog in this game. Despite that, they have the better record, and they're the supposed playoff team, or at least contender here. In that game, they shut down Atlanta's run pretty well. They ran the ball 30 times, and they let Atlanta beat itself, which is the thing that the Falcons have gotten really, really good at this season. So Panthers, top 10 run offense by DVOA, bottom 10 run defense for Atlanta. I just think it sets up well. In the last 2 decades, road underdogs of between 3 to 7 points, 56.4% ATS in division games. That's almost 400 games. That is a very strong sample and a very strong, almost 10% ROI there. And all that said, why did we bet against Atlanta on the look ahead? They were in Berlin today. They started the day out. They're coming back without rest, and the spot got worse for them. They played overtime in Germany, and they got run all over the place by Jonathan Taylor. And now this exhausted team comes home, and you know the trend I love. Teams with no bye week after international games have been tied or trailing 16 out of the 18 fourth quarters all time in that spot. Now the Falcons are even more tired than we thought because they come back off an overtime game. And if the Panthers are in it late, I think they'll have a chance to steal. So Panthers, 3.5, 4 if you can grab it, and a little bit on +175 on the money line. +175, I basically make this a coin flip by my numbers. So I'll happily take a +175 shot at that anytime.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look. I'm just curious myself, like how many times a team loses 30-0, loses by 28 plus, and is an underdog in the next meeting. Obviously there's a lot going into that, but pretty dominating. So I'll probably put that in the primer this week. All right, you got one more here. What are you doing?
One more. Chiefs, Broncos. Give me the under 44.5. Kind of a weird hot read because neither one of those teams played today. And usually we're reading what just happened. The Chiefs were on a bye week. The Broncos arguably barely played this week. We wish they hadn't played. We had to watch it on Thursday night, 10-7. That'll be fine for under if we get something like that. I think Denver continues to be one of the most fraudulent teams in the league. In that win, 220 yards for the winning team, Denver. Under 4 yards of play, 37% success rate. Bo Nix was dreadful in that game. -0.3 EPA per play. They had no business winning that game. That's the offense, and the Chiefs defense is going to be fine holding up against them. But of course, they do play defense because in that game that they did win, they held the Raiders to 188 yards and just barely 3 yards of play and 32% success rate. And I think in this game, Pat Surtain is not as big of a loss as other matchups because there's really not that outside receiver the Chiefs need to have matched up against you. Rashee Rice is great, but that's not his game. In Denver games, if you take out Dallas, who we know is an outlier, they're averaging under 38 points per game in Denver games on the season. They've been an unders team, and they've been an unders team against the Chiefs. Last year, the Chiefs had their 2 lowest scoring games of the season against Denver. Now look, one of those is fake. It was week 18, so that doesn't really count as 38-0, but they scored 16 in the other one. And their low scoring game the previous season was against Denver, in Denver, 9 points for Mahomes. And by the way, 9 points against Denver, who like a month earlier gave up 70 to the Dolphins. That same defense found answers and held Patrick Mahomes to 9 points. So in the last 4 games, Chiefs Broncos played the last 2 years, They're averaging 32 points a game total. 38, 33, 30, and 27. We said the week 18 game didn't count. That's bringing the average up. The other games are all lower than that one. So I think this is under all the way. Both teams want to control the clock. That is what they want. I think this is a very like first game of the playoff weekend feel game where it's just like the clock's just ticking away and there's not a lot happening, but it's close and it feels like a big deal. Denver 7-3 to the under, tops in the league for the season. The Chiefs are 6-3 to the under, just behind them. Both teams are top 5 first and second half to the under. These are under teams. Under 44.5, 44 down to 40. Every one of those numbers is a key number. So you want the value while it's there. It's already 43.5 at some books. I think it's going to keep moving that way. So I'm going to take the under, Broncos, Chiefs. And please, for the love of God, Patrick Mahomes, will you please beat the Broncos too? Just keep it under 44.5 so we can cash our under.
Yeah, I think both teams are going to be scared to make mistakes. A lot of running. Should be running the clock a lot. So I like the angle there.